Morning, morning, morning. So, today I'm going to kind of break a promise to you. Apologies for that. When I first started this, I thought it would be short, quick, bite-sized chunks. But a few people have asked me about using comedy and humour in marketing. And it's a great question, but it's not one you can really give a quick answer to. So I thought, balls to it. I'll give you a guide to creating comedy from scratch, even if you've never done it before. And I'll take you through the entire process. That's the plan for this. It won't be too long, and even though there's going to be a few steps and a few things to remember, the good news is you don't need to remember it because, like every good Facebook group person, last year I think it was, last year I did a 5 days to funny challenge. So this is essentially going to be that process in a really short, condensed form. But I've still got all the resources for the 5 days to funny thing. So if you go to insertgaghere.com/email or just go to insertgaghere.com and click on free stuff, you can get access to the Google Drive of Awesomeness, which has got the entire 5 days to funny docs in there. So there's a PDF, there's a video, I think the slides are even in there as well. So it just makes it easy. So you don't need to take notes. So just let the next however many minutes just kind of wash over you. So the first thing I should say is I'm not an expert on humour or comedy. My background that you're probably aware of is that for the last 10 years or so, I've been a close-up magician, an entertainer, performing at weddings and corporate events for drunk people. So I've been out there in the real world, and part of my USP was like being funny. It's how I kind of distinguish myself from other magicians. It was my USP was like just not only am I amazing, but I'm also quite funny too. So that was my USP. And I like comedy, and I've done stand-up, and I even won an award. Wow, amazing. I'm more shocked than you are. So that's my background. And, there's a lot of similarity. I kind of blagged in a copywriting interview once that, performing magic is like copywriting live. You've got to go to a cold audience, you've got to get their attention, you've got to come up with a message that holds their interest and relates to them. And then you've got to get them to do something, a call to action. In this case, applaud. Make me feel validated, people. Make me look good for the booker so they hand over the check. That's the real reason. So there's a lot of similarities, and the main part of what I did at gigs was just getting people laughing. That's what brides wanted to hear. That's what corporate bookers wanted. People having a good time. And humour is one of those weird things that is very hard to quantify, especially in business. So with some tools, you can immediately see the impact. So you can plug this device in, I've set it working, and it's generated a 3.7% return. With humour, there's always this kind of, is it getting in the way of the sales message? Is it really making a difference? And there's a couple of things I want to point to there, neither of which have any scientific evidence whatsoever. So I'll be honest with you about that. But I feel like they might be true. So let me just have a swig of water. So the first one is a quote by Kevin Rogers, who's a former comedian, now copywriter. He said he's very fond of saying that people's resistance is never lower and their attention more focused than when they're laughing. And again, no scientific evidence whatsoever for that statement, but it feels like it's true. Feels like it's true, doesn't it? Kind of feels like it would be true. And the other thing is your past experience. Think about this. Don't you just rather be around people that make you smile? Don't you just rather work with people who make it easy? And that's really what humour does. It's not about being hilarious. It's about being more just fun and light-hearted. I liken it to like just removing the rod of formality from your backside. Getting rid, when people think they're being professional by saying, "Dear sir, apropos your memo of the 17th," we think we're ticking the professional box, but doesn't do anything for us. It makes things harder. If you're responding to a Dear Sir email, it's hard. You're going to have to put a lot of effort into it. But if it's your mate who's sending you a WhatsApp message with emojis, it's not about being funny, it's about being fun. It's just easier. And if you think about it, we're really lazy people, and so are your customers. We will always naturally veer towards the easy. We'll take the easy route. Give us the easy over the difficult any day of the week. And if you imagine like you go to a networking meeting and you've never been there before, it's your first time, and you're just about to open a room that you can't see inside of. There's no glass windows or anything like that. You open the door and you can hear it's full of people. What's the first thing you look for when you open that door? Coffee? Wi-Fi password? Possibly. But you're looking for a friendly face. Not hilarious, you're not looking for a comedian, you're just looking for somebody to make the next 2 hours easier. Find a friendly face and you'll go straight over there. We like doing business with people who are easy to do business with. You know, and the whole thing about Insert Gag Here wasn't about being funny, it was about giving people a reason to choose you. You know, if you're doing the same marketing and saying the same benefits as everybody else, of course people are going to choose you on price. Of course they are, because they've got no other reason to. Insert Gag Here, the reason I came up with it was to have edges. Don't be afraid of letting people inside, having a bit of personality and giving them a reason to choose you, because those little bits of personality, those little quirks, idiosyncrasies, they're the reason that people will actually choose you over the other guy. So I can't quantify any of this. I have no scientific data to back it up, but I get the feeling that humour, just being fun and light-hearted, is a big factor in getting gigs. I know it's got me gigs in the past, and you probably can relate to the fact that it just makes things easier and you're more likely to pay somebody who's a good laugh. So that's the unscientific basis for this entire episode. But let's get into a couple of mindset issues, because I know when I try and teach people to be funny that there's a couple of roadblocks that people have. It's normally, I'm not funny, I've never been funny. Let's address that one straight away. You might not be the funniest person in the world, but you have made somebody laugh. You have put a smile on somebody's face. And that's enough. Remember, we're lowering the benchmark. You don't have to be the funniest person on the planet to do this. It's just about being a fun, light-hearted person. And that is pretty easy, especially when you're competing with all your competitors who are dear sirring it up, you know, and yours faithfully and yours sincerely. Just by being a normal human being, very often that's enough to stand out and be the person that people choose. So lower the benchmark a little bit. And the second thing is, we watch Netflix specials of comedians and it looks like they've got a room full of 100,000 people or 10,000 people or whatever. You just grab a microphone, go on stage and talk for 2 hours. Looks like they're winging it. They're not. Every comedian, when you see a Netflix special, what you're really seeing is about 2 years of solid graft. Really solid graft. I'm talking writing during the day, then 3 or 4 gigs every single night just to test it out. You'll see clips on YouTube of Chris Rock on stage at these low comedy clubs with like 20 or 30 people in it, pad of paper in hand, reading as he goes, ticking the ones that worked, crossing the ones that didn't. It's that hard. Even when you're an experienced, best in the world comic, they still don't know what works. They still have to go out and test stuff. So, lower the benchmark, and if you can't think of a joke after 3 seconds, go easy on yourself. So with that in mind, let's crack on. So the first thing I always tell people, if you want to be funny, watch something funny. Absorb comedy. Osmosis. That's what we're going for with this. I want you to start making comedy a daily habit. Watch it, listen to it, push pensioners over in the street, find whatever makes you giggle. And just let it wash over you. Don't analyse it, don't try and copy it, don't hand copy it out. Don't try and get every single genre of comedy washing over you. Just find things that make you laugh and watch them. That is it. It's kind of like Jim Rohn says, doesn't he? He says, well, not anymore, he's dead, but he did say that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let one of those people, if you want to be funny, let one of those people be either a comedian or just comedy. Just spend time with that every single day. Just allow it to wash over you. So that's the first step. If you want to be funny, be around funniness. Step number 2 is, and this feels like a backward step, but it's actually not. When you think about the best jokes that you've heard from comedians, they're based on truth. They're talking about the kids getting ready for school. They're talking about car troubles or dating or having babies or airplane food. It's funny because it's not the funniness, it's the truth behind the funniness. The frustration at getting kids ready for school, how you're always 5 minutes late, no matter where you set off from or whatever time you set off on the school run, you're always 5 minutes late. I could be dropped from the sky 3 hours before and I would still be 5 minutes late for school. It's that kind of truth behind it. So that's the first. If you want to create humour for your business, you need to start looking at the truths in your business. And when I say your business, I'm talking about the product you offer, the service, your customers, your competition, you, the business name, where you are, seasons, products, prices, anything like that. High ticket, low ticket, anything like that. Just start coming up with truths. And you're going to want to try and make these funny, but don't. So truths about your business are the really boring stuff that aren't funny, but are fundamentally true, because all your gags are going to be based on this. So as an example, let's say I'm an electrician, right? And let's say that one of the truths I come up with is that no matter how good I am as an electrician, it all comes down to the flicking the switch moment. I could have spent 3 months rewiring somebody's entire hotel, yet if it doesn't work when I flick that switch, I am screwed. So that's a truth about the business. Again, it's not funny. You might begin to think of avenues of how you can make it funny, but don't get ahead of yourself yet. Just get fundamental truths. Another one for an electrician could be something like, I'm working with 8 gazillion volts here. If I do something wrong, it's a constant tightrope. If I do something wrong, I'm fried. Again, not funny, but it is true. So you can probably see how a comedian would take that and use it as the basis of the act, but we're not going to get there yet. So that's what the first step is. And don't worry about remembering all this. Remember, if you go to insertgaghere.com/email, you can get all the resources that will remind you of all this kind of stuff. So come up with the truths in your business. What is true about your business? Fight the urge to be funny. What's true about your product, the way you deliver your service or your product? What's true about you? What's true about the competition? What's true about the marketplace? What's true about your customers? And just come up with a load of ideas. Are your customers only concerned about one thing? Are your customers concerned about something completely irrelevant to the final deliverable? You know, as a magician, I was booked even though the thing that brides were booking me for, they didn't really understand. They didn't understand magic or how it worked, yet they would still happily pay £300 or £400 for me to go to their wedding for 2 hours and talk to their guests. What's weird as a magician is that the number one skill isn't being a magician, it's being a normal human being that you can trust with family and friends. Stuff like that. And with most of the things here, resist the urge to make this a kind of one and done thing. You'll as you interact with suppliers, customers, and you write stuff and you come up with content, you'll notice truths popping up. So just have like a truths folder somewhere that you can just, whenever one comes into your mind, when you're dog walking or having a shower, you just pop it in there, add it to the file and use it later. So always carry a notepad for this kind of stuff. So let's say you've got some truths. We use the electrician truths of, what were they again? Oh yeah, it all comes down to the switch moment, and I'm working with 8 gazillion volts here, people. Be careful. So I'll use those. Now we're going to add an element that leads us to humour, and that is an attitude. Now, most comedy is based on negativity, not in terms of like a downer, but in terms of like the bad things that happen, the struggles that we have. So comedians don't talk about, you know, how much they enjoy watching the F1 in Monaco from their $6 million yacht, because it's not. It's a truth, but it's not funny. There's not the potential for relatable humour there. There's something about humour is tragedy plus time. So we need to find the bad stuff, but not in a negative way. So let me give you an example. So there's a really good comedy book called, oh God, no, it's a test. The Stand-Up Bible, Stand-Up Comedy Bible by Judy Carter. And in that, she talks about the 4 main attitudes you want. That are worth exploring. So you're going to look at your truths and figure out what is hard about it, what is weird, what is scary, and what is stupid. Hard, weird, scary, stupid. I'm literally amazed that I could still remember those after all these years. I'm amazed. Hard, weird, scary, or stupid. Now, these attitudes won't apply to every single one of your truths, but it's worth running them through these 4 filters: hard, weird, scary, stupid, to see what does play. Now you'll get ones that it's not relevant, and you'll get some that maybe 3 out of the 4 you can work something with. So let's take the electrician thing. So the flicking the switch, we don't know whether it works until you flick the switch. So hard, weird, scary, or stupid. It's not hard, it's not stupid. It's kind of, no, okay, well, it's weird. It's weird that your entire reputation for that client comes down to the moment when you flick the switch. It's weird that they have no concept of whether you've done a good job until you flick that switch. So again, we're not shooting for funny, but you can kind of see how the joke is forming. You can almost hear a comedian on stage talking, you know what the weird thing is about being an electrician? I can spend 6 months in somebody's house, but until I do that, they don't know whether I've done anything good or whether I've done anything bad. So you can kind of see the basis of the joke. The other one was, what was the other one? Oh yeah, the volts, 8 gazillion volts. So it's scary constantly working with 8 gazillion volts all the time. I'm just one step away from failure and dying horrifically. So not funny, but you can see the potential. So for every single one of the truths that you come up with, just run them through is this hard? What is hard about this? What is scary about this? What is stupid about this? What is silly about this or weird about this? And then just run them through that and see what you come up with. Once you've got that, there's 3 tips. Now, I don't want to go too much into this, but I'm just going to give you enough to go off and try this. The first thing I want you to do is, this is a good one, it's very cathartic. I want you to rant. Not necessarily rant, but I want you to get up and walk around the room exploring what you've just said. So for example, I've just done it with that flicking the switch one. You say the sentence, it's weird that I could spend 6 months in somebody's house and they not know what happens until I flick the switch. And I could go off on a rant like, I could say, my God, he's been here for 6 months. You know, it could be some big, if I'm just going to free speech it out now, I would say things like, maybe there's a big scam that electricians are running where they go, yeah, let's tell them it takes 6 months. We won't tell them that there's just a switch behind the wall. Tell you what, we can dig out the walls and stuff. Do we even know what they're doing out there with all this electricity? Maybe they're just lying to us. Maybe there is just this big switch and they're just sat there on their arse for 5 months. And you just go off on that and explore ideas. And the idea that maybe electricians are secretly plotting against us and taking 6 months to do a job that would take 5 minutes could be an angle, maybe not. But you just want to get it out there, talk it out, and just completely freewheel it and let your mind go amok. Remember, not every one of these will be a winner. Not everyone. And not everyone you would keep in the act. Even comedians struggle with this. But it's the comedian's idea of just exploring all the angles, just going off on a rant and just talking out loud and capturing what you come up with. What's he doing in there? He's been in that bathroom for 4 hours. Why? He hasn't even got his tools with him. And just have a bit of a rant with it, something like that. And same with the 8 gazillion volts thing. You know, what kind of, if I was having a rant about that, I'm working with 8 gazillion volts, I'd have a constant look on my face of, I'd be so worried. It's like, one wrong move and you're fried. Essentially, you're getting a portable version of the electric chair. You're no better than Ted Bundy. He got the electric. So that would be a good magic rant about that. That would be a great rant for the 8 gazillion volts thing. The fact that if you die, you're going to die in the same way that Ted Bundy did. Please don't tell people I killed people. So that's what I want you to do. That's a really good tool for that, and you'll come up with ideas. Not all of them will be winners, but we've got a couple ideas there, like the electrician scam. Maybe they're not really doing all the work they want. Maybe that could be explored. But the 8 gazillion volts thing could be. You're no better than Ted Bundy. You died the same way as Ted Bundy. That's quite a nice hook. I like that. And the other thing is as well about the switch thing. It's weird that it all comes down to this moment. And here's another technique. Once you've done your rant and you've got all this information out there, have a look at what it is like. What does it compare to? And the thing that I just thought about then was, it's weird that this entire moment for an electrician comes down to switching it on and the lights go on. Now, I grew up in Blackpool, where we had the illuminations turn on. So we've kind of got a similar thing here. You know, maybe you could compare it to doing a big switch on. You know, you grab all the family in, you say, the electrician's about to turn it on. Should we have a countdown? And you can really, and this is the other thing as well. So not only do you compare it to something else, like the illumination switch on, but you also ramp it up, exaggerate it. So it's not only do we get the family in, come on in family, get the neighbours, the mayor's here, we've got Anthea Turner, celebrity countdown, get featured in the press, and you get these ideas. And it's not a solid joke, but it's an idea you can use. Imagine just, the idea of, we gather the family round to turn on the lights and see if it works, or maybe I'll make this face when I fire it up. You could use that in a pitch, or you could use that as part of your social media content, or you could use the idea that there is an electrician scam going on. You could make that the basis for a parody kind of post or something. Or, it's not specific gags for specific occasions, but this idea of there being an electrician scam going on, and the idea of flicking the switch and inviting everybody around, you can kind of see how you would apply it to different things. You could have a pitch at a networking meeting when somebody asks you what you do, and you say, well, I do this, I rewire the house, and then we get everybody in, and, we all stand by the switch, and we have a big countdown. And you could even create a prop that looks like a big switch, and you take it to networking meetings, go, everybody join in, 5, You could use it for so many different things. It would make for a great cartoon. It would look great on your website. Imagine a GIF of like a massive celebration on your, that's, let's say you're an electrician with an FAQ page, and one of your questions is, what happens when you rewire my house? What's the process? And then you have a step-by-step process. And the last one is, and then we all gather around, we all press the button, the lights come on, and this happens. And you've got a GIF of, confetti showering everywhere and stuff like that. So, this is weird. I kind of wish I was an electrician now. But you kind of get the idea. And a lot of this is weird, ethereal, not hard facts, but hopefully it gives you an insight into the process. So once you've got your truth, once you've added your attitude to it, go off on a rant, just explore it. Don't filter yourself, brainstorm, just talk out loud about what's going on with it. Let your emotions tap into it, and because that's where all humour comes from. But explore the attitude. What's stupid about this? And then why is it stupid? Stupid that we do this. Really explore that. And then add those things in where we can exaggerate it. How would this look if it was on a TV show? Like with sitcoms, they don't just go around to see their girlfriend's parents. They go around to see their girlfriend's parents and set the lounge on fire. And then when they're setting the lounge on fire, they reach for a glass of water only to realise that the dad is secretly drinking vodka. They tip that on, the whole place goes up. Exaggerate it. And then also, what is this like? So you've got this flicking the switch. What is that like? Well, it's like turning on Blackpool illuminations. It's like opening a supermarket. And what is that like? And explore those ideas. Don't be afraid to come up with nonsense and stuff that isn't funny, because that's not the point. Remember, top comedians really struggle with this. So give yourself a break if it leads nowhere. But I kind of want to explore the "you died the same way as Ted Bundy, 8 gazillion volts" line. I think that could be good. So yeah, that's the process really. So step 1 is just absorb comedy, watch it, make it part of your life, and allow it to kind of wash over you. Number 2 is keep an eye out for truths in your business. When clients say something, or suppliers say something, or when you notice something that's always true in your business, just note it down. Even if it goes nowhere, get it down on paper. Number 3 is add attitude to it. What's scary, weird, hard, stupid about this? And then just rant. Just free form, just go out, talk, walk around, do whatever you like. And then once you've got the basic idea of a joke or something that you think could be a joke, exaggerate it and compare it to what it could be like. What is this like? What does this remind me of? I've got flies flying around the room. Just go through those steps. And like I say, you don't have to remember them. If you go to insertgaghere.com/email or click on free stuff, you'll get access to the Google Drive of Awesomeness, which has got the 5 Days to Funny folder in there. So click on that. You've got the video, you've got the PDF and the slides to help you out. So that was just a quick overview of it, really. I didn't want to make it too long, but I did want to give you something that you can actually use. I know there's no easy process to coming up with gags, and it's not about coming up with something definite for a particular situation. Hopefully you've got the idea that you can freeform this stuff and come up with woolly stuff, and then it's a case of looking at it and thinking, how can I use this in different areas? How would this look like in a visual medium? How could I make a video of this? How could I write this down? How could I talk about this? How could I use this in a presentation or in a blog post? Or would it make as a good bookend in my lead magnet? Could I come up with more gags like this and make a, could I tell a story like this? And it's just about being open to these ideas and not being too hard on yourself when you eventually end up with nothing. Because all comedians do that. Even great ones like me. It's not all 8 gazillion volt Ted Bundy death gold, So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any questions, then let me know. But yes, the complete guide to this entire process is at insertgaghere.com/email. 5 days to funny, and work your way through it. And let me know how you get on. Genuinely care to see if people use this and if it's of use. But if anything needs clarification, just let me know. Have a good day.